Most people don't struggle to get into cybersecurity because they lack intelligence. They struggle because they don't understand the map. They see job titles flying around like cloud security engineer, DevSecOps, forward deployed engineer, platform engineer, and they don't really know how these roles connect. So they end up chasing certs or jumping into random labs, and then they apply to jobs that they can't confidently explain in the interview process. It's just a clarity issue. So here's what we're gonna do. First, I'm gonna break down the tech roles that are quietly growing right now. Not hype roles, but infrastructure roles. Then I'm gonna explain what cybersecurity jobs actually do, because cyber is not one thing. And finally, I'm going to show you realistic entry paths that can lead into security, even if you don't start there. So by the end of this, you should understand how the ecosystem fits together, because once you see the system, you stop guessing. But let's zoom out first. AI is expanding, cloud complexity is increasing, and companies are automating everything. That means infrastructure is becoming more layered, and layered systems need engineers who understand how those layers basically connect. One role that's growing really fast right now is called the forward deployed engineer. This role is big in AI startups and enterprise software companies. You are technical, but you work directly with the customers. You help them deploy complex systems safely. And that means understanding cloud platforms like AWS and Azure, identity systems like AWS IAM or Azure Intra ID, API integrations, network fundamentals, and basically how data flows between systems. Companies deploying AI tools powered by OpenAI or Anthropic need engineers who can basically integrate those systems into real environments without breaking security or performance. And that's basically where this role lives. Next up, we got platform engineers, which are another major growth area. And these are the engineers building internal infrastructure for other engineers. They manage Kubernetes clusters, write Terraform for infrastructure as a code, design CI/CD pipelines and GitHub Actions or GitLab, and they integrate secrets management with tools like HashiCorp Vault or AWS Secrets Manager. Platform engineering basically blends DevOps and security naturally. So if you understand containers, automation, and access control, you're positioning yourself in a high leverage space. Network engineers. Network engineers are foundational and still highly relevant. Don't have AI workloads moving across regions without networking. So if you understand routing, subnets, segmentation, load balancers, firewalls, security groups in AWS and VNets in Azure, you are building a base that translates directly into cloud security and network security later on. DevOps and DevSecOps roles are still expanding. Modern environments rely on Docker, Kubernetes, Terraform, and GitHub Actions. And security is shifting left, which basically means scanning containers with tools like Trivy, checking infrastructure policies with Open Policy Agent, OPA, and enforcing least privilege directly in pipelines. Now, if you understand how infrastructure is built automatically, you can secure it automatically, and that's leverage. Now let's narrow the lens and talk about cybersecurity roles clearly, because cybersecurity is not only one job. SOC analysts monitor and respond to alerts. They work in tools like Microsoft Sentinel, Splunk, Elastic, or CrowdStrike, and you learn how real attacks show up in logs, and that exposure is foundational. IAM engineers focus on identity, meaning who can access what. They design role structures in AWS IAM or Azure Intra ID, manage federation, and implement SSO, single sign-on. If identity fails, everything else fails. Cloud security engineers, they focus on securing the cloud environments. They review IAM policies, check encryption settings, audit VPC configurations, and use tools like AWS Security Hub, Azure Defender, Wiz, Orca, Prowler to detect misconfigurations. This role exists because cloud complexity creates risk. Security architects think at a system level. They design secure integrations, understand OAuth and API authentication, define trust boundaries between services, and guide secure decisions. GRC analysts focus more on governance and compliance, working with frameworks like NIST, ISO 27001, or SOC 2. They translate business risk into policy and often interact with every department in the company. Pen testers simulate attacks, and modern pen testing includes cloud privilege escalation, API abuse, and identity exploitation, not just web form testing. And then you got software security engineers, and they basically embed inside development teams, review code, conduct threat modeling. Threat modeling is basically a part of every role, and they integrate secure SDLC practices directly into the engineering workflow. And here's the part most people skip. You do not need to start in a security role to move into security. Systems administrators build strong foundations in Linux, automation, scripting, and user management. And that foundation transitions naturally into IAM and cloud security and DevOps. Network engineers can pivot into network security or cloud security because they already understand traffic and segmentation on a very deep level. IT support or help desk roles teach troubleshooting, incident response, and soft skills. Security is technical, but it's also communication. Data center technicians understand hardware, racks, switches, and physical infrastructure. Now, cloud still runs inside physical environments, and understanding that layer strengthens your architectural perspective. Tech sales or sales engineering is another underrated path. In B2B cybersecurity sales, you sit in a room with CISOs and engineers, and you listen to real problems and understand how solutions are positioned. Many pre-sales engineers pivot into architecture or consulting roles later on, though. Apprenticeship programs are also overlooked. They usually pay 70 to 80% of full salary while training you because companies need talent. Usually no degree or experience is required in many cases, though. So the biggest mistake people make is chasing titles instead of building building layered capability. Security sits on top of infrastructure, identity, network, automation, and communication. If you build on those layers intentionally, you don't have to force your way into cybersecurity. You grow into it. And now, with AI expanding attack surfaces and cloud environments becoming more complex, it's shifting towards people who understand systems end to end, not just the tools. And that's the difference. Clarity over hype, foundations over titles, and that's how you position yourself long term. But thank you for watching today. If you want free resources, if you need projects, get access to my free project generator. It generates projects and it walks you through step by step. You just go to the link in my bio or go to the comments, put your information in, and I'll send it to you. Thank you.